Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
Well, first of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
But they did put themselves in that very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So it seems like you're sort of saying, we want to be revolutionaries, we want to take over this building. Now would you please bring us food and water?
Nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
They're stopping the delivery of food?
We are looking for a commitment from them that they will not stop it
but
violently.
They haven't stopped it yet.
Well, I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
And the Grubhub.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. It is a lovely day here in West Central Florida, 84 degrees. It's almost noon, and so we can still call this Morning Report, right? So we're going to do that. Hope things are well where you are, and we're just going to get with it. You know, this video that I just showed you is sort of encapsulates why a lot of us shouldn't really be paying that close of attention to a lot of these people who are on these, especially Ivy League colleges, universities raising all this hell about Hamas, because obviously they are still in some sort of petrified adolescence. I say this all the time. I've been saying this since 2008. A lot of these leftists are like 12-year-old girls. They are. And all we can do is discipline them. You can't reason with them. You can't talk to them. You can't deal with them. All you can do is discipline them. In the very same way you can't, really reason with a 12-year-old girl who's just mad about whatever. Whatever her friends are mad about, she's mad about too. She doesn't even know what she's mad about. But if her friends are mad, she's mad too. And that's what you witnessed in that video. They decide that they are going to, well, they were told that they were going to take over this building on the campus of Columbia. Well, Columbia's already told the NYPD, hey, come break this up. So now they have barricaded themselves in this building, some of them. And you know what they want? They want food and water. Well, the building's got water, so all the buildings have water. So they, all they're missing is their snacks. They've only been there a day, maybe 2 days. So they none of them are going to die of starvation or die of thirst, like this woman talks about. None of them are going to do that because there is water in the building. Water fountains, there's sinks, there's places where the custodial staff needs water to mop floors. I mean, there's water in the building, and you can survive on water for a long time. You just won't get your snacks or your Starbucks. But this is what you chose to do. And this comment that some of these students pay for a meal plan. Well, do they bring the meal plan to you? Or do you have to go to cafeteria or some place to pick up your meal plan? Well, you can still do that. They don't have to bring it to you because you're being a revolutionary. You're not being a revolutionary. You're being a spoiled brat. You're being a useful idiot. That's what you're doing. You're being. Now, this young lady didn't want to give her name, but of course, find out. Her name is Joanna King Slutsky. She's a paid instructor and a PhD candidate at Columbia. And of course, you know what she's studying. She's studying theories of the imagination and poetry as interpreted through a Marxian lens. Okay, and somebody's paying for this. I mean, and you're asking me, so where does that lead? That leads to a job at Columbia, teaching theories of the imagination and poetry as interpreted through a Marxian lens. That's what that leads to. But what there's, and you heard one of the reporters say, it seems like you're saying, we want to be revolutionaries. We want to take over this building. Now, would you please bring us some food? No, here's what revolutionaries had to deal with. If you're going to be a revolutionary, if you're going to take over a building, then you better have the support system in place already. Because the people who are your oppressors, as you say, are not going to be your deliverers. And you can't guilt them into it. Well, if they really cared about us as, this Columbia community. No, it's not how it works, young person. It's not how it works, sweet cheeks. It just isn't how it works, sweet cheeks. You decided to break into a building, take it over, hold it violently, and now you want assurances that you can bring food in. Well, you should have thought about that earlier. You should have brought some food with you. This is the planning of a 12-year-old girl. There's only really one solution to any of this. Go in there, start cracking heads, and drag them off to Sing Sing or prison or jail or whatever. And those people who you find out who are organizers, you have to expel them from your university. Yes, and there may be tons of expulsions. There may be. And there may be tons of people who are going to spend some time in jail. It's terrible. But that's how you discipline. That's how you do it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely incredibly amazing. What's equally amazing is this woman here. We did I did a story yesterday about the Democrats deciding that they were going to go ahead and support Mike Johnson. They weren't going to try to elect Hakeem Jeffries, which I said, super, it's a win. Now you can just back off. You've made your point. It's hard not to hear you as loud and as obnoxious as you are, Marjorie Taylor-Greene. It's hard not to hear you. And not everything you said is incorrect. Not everything you said is incorrect. And it's been going on and a lot of it's been going on for a long time. And I'm not disagreeing with you. But it isn't, a lot of times, most times, it's not what, it's how and when. This way, now, not a good choice. Tom Massey says in a clip that I'm going to show you that this is a great time to clean house. Not cleaning house. Not cleaning house. And I'll tell you why. One of the things I've said to you for a long time: Republicans refuse to do their work, and conservatives aren't much better. They refuse to do their work. If indeed they want the House to be different, then they need to put different people in the House. If you want the Senate to be different or act differently, behave differently, then you need to put different people there. And that's a long-term, very rough, hard, expensive thing to do. it would be very expensive to get Mitch McConnell out of his seat and replace him with somebody that you think would be worthy of it. So just whining and screaming about how terrible he is that's how terrible he is, and he is. It's not enough. And you know what, and giving these press conferences where you do the Joe Biden and you yell every line, you yell everything you have to say as if there aren't microphones. That's not it. That's not the how. The how is the powerful gathering of constituency and resources and gathering candidates, funding campaigns, convincing constituencies. Again, all really hard, really expensive, unfortunately long-term things to do. But this is not it. This is not going to work. Because what's going to happen is, yeah, she thinks that what's going to happen here's their strategy. They think that the people who vote to keep Mike Johnson as speaker, the Republicans, somehow she'll be able to go after them. Well, you've already been able to do that. It's the same people who didn't want to get rid of the other dude. Why can't I remember his name? Kevin McCarthy. There you go. The same folks. It's the same folks. And this time, some of the people who push to get rid of Kevin McCarthy are going to vote against you. So this idea that you and Tom are the only ones and we nobody's buying it. For instance, here in my district, a really good friend of mine who has since passed away ran against Kathy Castor 3 times, I think three or 4 times, and every time got about 30% of the vote, which is about the delineation point of Republicans and Democrats in this district. He ran as a Republican. He ran as a Black Republican, right? And he had and I think in the district, he had a really good relationship with a lot of the Democrats, especially a lot of Democrat leaders. But they were not, especially a lot of the Black Democrat leaders. But you know what they weren't going to do? They were not going to cut off their nose to spite their face. They were not going to let Eddie get elected. They were going to be nice. They were going to allow Eddie to have his peace. But they were not going to, they just weren't. As a matter of fact, before he passed away, Eddie had a weekly talk show on WTMP. WTMP is a legacy Black radio station that does talk shows on Saturday. So people have access, local people have access to, media. They were all, what do they call, sort of the pay to play shows. I had one of those too. Don't ever do it. They're expensive and you can't afford them. But anyway, and that show was on WTMP for a number of years. And it ended up being one of the most popular shows on the station on that Saturday. So there were listeners, there were people hearing it. In the beginning, the local Republican Party pitched in to pay for the program. They backed off. They had a change in leadership, so they backed off. But all the other things that needed to happen were not happening. They had sort of deputized, a couple of us to go into the hood and make the change, instead of deciding that they would do their work. Some of the things that we suggested is going into the lion's den and participating in some of the activities that needed to be participated in. Simple stuff. Here's what you need to do. You need to get a float in the MLK parade. Just a float. Pay the money. Again, pay the money. get afloat, be represented. That's it. Now, is it going to be ugly in the beginning? Most certainly. Do it anyway. Show up. Show up at some of these, committees, like the here's my wife and I were involved with the East Tampa Revitalization Partnership. And so what I did was after I founded the New Century Republican Club, when I signed in, I made the New Century Republican Club a member of the New East Tampa Revitalization Partnership. So when I came to sign up, when I went to meetings, I made sure that everybody knew that, oh, Republicans are here. And we're not here to change anything. We're not here to shout you down. We're here to see where we can help. How do we make things better? Interject our thoughts and opinions and values and mores on the situation. It's a long-term process, and it can be expensive. Screaming, yelling banshees at press conferences in front of the House of Representatives, that's not it. That's never going to work. Never. The only strategy now is what I alluded to on yesterday. Republicans who are smart, who are playing the strategic game, who hopefully are playing the long game, will abandon her and Tom Massie, unfortunately. And it'll be up to Taylor-Greene and Massie to get reelected where they are, and that's fine. And I hope they do. But as a larger strategy, it's not really going to work. What do you think? Write it down in the comments. I know a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine because you're mad at Joe Biden, and you should be, and you're frustrated with Republicans. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a video here of a piece that I wrote back in 2016, and I hope you look forward to it because I think that it's in. I think that it's still. I read it last night and this morning. And I still think it encapsulates why Trump or why any outsider really, because the Republicans, furrowed and fertilized the ground to grow a candidate like Trump, and I'll explain it in the video that I'm going to do later this afternoon. Hope that you are here. I may even do a live, maybe. It depends on what's going on. In any case, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.